You've probably heard it all your life. Fish is healthy. Eat more fish for your heart, your brain, and your joints. But what if I told you that eating the wrong kind of fish after age 60 could actually do the opposite, damaging your heart, clouding your memory, and even speeding up the aging process? A major study published in The Lancet in 2023 revealed something shocking. Older adults who ate the wrong types of fish just twice a week had up to an 80% higher risk of stroke and memory loss. That means two simple meals could raise your chances of serious health problems that rob you of independence and vitality. And here's the real issue. Most people over 60 unknowingly eat these bad fish every single week, thinking they're making a healthy choice. Grocery store labels don't tell you the full story, and even popular heart-healthy fish can actually be packed with mercury, toxins, or unhealthy fats that accelerate aging. But don't lose hope, because the truth is, some fish can do the exact opposite. In fact, certain fish, when eaten regularly, can reduce your risk of Alzheimer's disease by nearly 40%. Protect your arteries and keep your mind sharp well into your 70, 80, and beyond. Imagine enjoying your golden years with energy, clear thinking, and a body that still feels strong and capable of choosing the right fish for your plate. So today, I'm going to walk you through the 4 worst fish you should avoid at all costs, and then reveal the 4 best fish you should be eating daily to protect your heart, boost your memory, and even slow the aging process. But before we dive in, I'd love to hear from you. Which fish do you eat most often? Salmon, tuna, tilapia, or something else? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to know what's already on your plate. So, the real question isn't just which fish to eat or avoid, but why so many of us, especially after 60, still believe every kind of fish is automatically good for us. That common mistake is the reason many seniors keep facing hidden health risks without even realizing it. Let's talk about that first. For many years, we've been told that replacing red meat with fish is the safe choice. And because of that, countless seniors proudly say, "I don't eat much steak anymore. I eat fish instead." On the surface, that sounds like the right move. But the truth is more complicated. Fish isn't always the safe, heart-friendly food we imagine. Depending on the species and how it's raised, it can carry mercury, dioxins, antibiotic residues, and even the wrong balance of fats that silently harm your joints, your memory, and your heart. I once met a woman in her 70s who believed she was making the healthiest choice by buying salmon every week. But here's the problem. She was buying farmed salmon because it was cheaper and always available. Over time, she struggled with higher inflammation, her arthritis flared, and she felt more fatigued. When her doctor suggested switching to wild Alaskan salmon, she noticed the difference: fewer aches, more energy, and improved cholesterol numbers. It wasn't salmon that was the problem, it was the type of salmon she chose. And that's where many people get confused. Not all fish are created equally. Wild salmon is full of omega-3 and antioxidants that heal the body, while farmed salmon can be loaded with contaminants and carry an unhealthy fat profile. Spanish mackerel can be a safe, nutritious choice, but king mackerel is on the FDA's do not eat list because of dangerous mercury levels. The same food category, but 2 very different outcomes. The small lesson here is this: if nature doesn't make it clean, don't take it. Fish can either be medicine or poison, depending on where it comes from and how it was raised. And now that we understand why just eat more fish can be such a misleading message, let's go deeper. It's time to uncover the 4 specific fishes that seniors should never touch after 60, starting with one that looks harmless on your plate but hides some of the biggest risks. At first glance, catfish seem harmless. It's mild in flavor, easy to cook, and one of the cheapest fish at the supermarket. That's exactly why so many seniors choose it week after week, because it fits the budget and feels safe. But here's the hidden danger. When catfish is imported from overseas, especially from parts of Asia, it's often raised in polluted waters under overcrowded conditions. To keep the fish alive, farmers use heavy doses of antibiotics, pesticides, and other chemicals. These don't disappear, they stay in the fish's flesh and eventually in your body. The problem doesn't stop there. Studies have shown that eating contaminated catfish can quietly strain the liver, kidneys, and even the heart organs that are already more vulnerable after 60. And there's another risk most people never think about: antibiotic resistance. The more of these residues you consume, the harder it becomes for real medicine to work when you truly need it. That means an infection down the road could be harder to fight simply because of what was on your dinner plate. To make matters worse, the FDA has caught shipments of imported catfish testing positive for banned pesticides, chemicals that are not even legal to use in the United States. Imagine thinking you're eating a healthy piece of fish, when in reality, you're swallowing traces of toxins that were outlawed decades ago. The common mistake is simple. Many shoppers pick up the cheapest fillet without checking the label. They assume all catfish are the same, but it's not. The truth is, U.S. farmed catfish are raised under strict USDA inspections, with far safer practices and cleaner water. Choosing locals makes all the difference. So, the small lesson here is clear. Always choose catfish raised in the U.S., never imported. Saving a couple of dollars today is not worth risking your long-term health. And catfish aren't the only ones hiding in plain sight. Another fish that millions of seniors still eat regularly, and while it looks like lean, healthy protein, it carries a danger that's invisible but even more destructive. For many of us, tuna feels like the perfect choice. It's lean, it's high in protein, and it's easy to find in a can on almost every grocery shelf. But what most seniors don't realize is that tuna, especially albacore or big eye, carries a silent danger: mercury. Here's why. Tuna are large, long-living fish that sit high on the ocean food chain. Year after year, they eat smaller fish, and with every bite, mercury from the ocean builds up in their flesh. By the time that tuna lands on your plate, it may hold mercury levels high enough to overwhelm your body's ability to clear it. And unlike some toxins that pass quickly, mercury lingers. It settles into your brain and nervous system, slowly building up over time. The symptoms can be subtle at first: forgetfulness, shaky hands, mood changes. Many people shrug them off as just getting older. But in reality, these may be the early signs of mercury toxicity. A study in JAMA Neurology found that seniors with higher mercury levels had up to a 65% greater risk of cognitive decline. And here's the shocking part. Eating just 2 servings of albacore tuna per week is enough to exceed the safe limit for mercury exposure. I remember meeting a retired teacher who ate canned tuna nearly every day for lunch because it was cheap and convenient. Over time, she noticed she felt foggy, her hands trembled, and she struggled to focus on simple tasks. She thought it was early dementia. But when her doctor ran tests, the culprit wasn't age, it was mercury from years of eating tuna. The common mistake is exactly that: relying on canned tuna as a daily staple because it's affordable and easy. But the truth is, not all tuna is equally dangerous. Light tuna, usually made from skipjack, contains much lower mercury levels. Still, even with light tuna, moderation is the key. So, the lesson here is simple. If you love tuna, stick to light skipjack and only once or twice a month. That way, you can still enjoy the flavor without letting mercury quietly steal your memory and your health. And tuna is only one part of the story. There's another fish that looks almost identical on the menu. But one variety can be safe, while another is one of the most dangerous choices for seniors. Let's clear up that confusion next as we talk about mackerel. Mackerel is a fish that often confuses people because some varieties are excellent for your health while one, in particular, can be downright dangerous. The safe kinds, like Atlantic or Spanish mackerel, are smaller, oily fish rich in omega-3 and low in toxins. But king mackerel? That's a very different story. King mackerel grows large, lives long, and sits high in the food chain. That combination makes it one of the most mercury-contaminated fish you can buy. In fact, both the FDA and the EPA have placed king mackerel firmly on their do not eat list, especially for seniors, children, and pregnant women. The risks aren't small. Mercury from king mackerel doesn't just sit quietly in your body. It damages blood vessels, disrupts your heart's rhythm, and even increases the risk of stroke. On top of that, it attacks the nervous system, leading to mood swings, depression, and memory problems that many people confuse with just aging. I remember one gentleman in his early 70s who told me he always ordered grilled mackerel at his favorite seafood restaurant, believing it was good for his heart. The sad truth? No one ever told him the difference between Spanish mackerel and king mackerel. Over time, he developed irregular heartbeats and worsening fatigue. When his doctor reviewed his diet, the culprit became clear: he had been unknowingly eating one of the highest mercury fish on the market. This is the common mistake: ordering mackerel at a restaurant without asking which type you're getting. On the menu, it just says mackerel, but the difference between Spanish and king is the difference between medicine and poison. So, the lesson here is simple. Always ask, is it Atlantic or king? That one question could save your brain, your heart, and your independence. And while king mackerel is a hidden danger in plain sight, there's still one more fish that might surprise you even more. It's one of the most popular choices in American supermarkets, often praised as a lean protein, yet it hides risks so severe that some researchers say it's worse than eating bacon. Tilapia has become one of the most popular fish in America. It's cheap, easy to find, and often marketed as lean, healthy protein. But behind that clean-looking fillet lies a very different story. Most farm tilapia are raised in overcrowded ponds, swimming in waste-filled water. To keep them alive in such conditions, farmers often use antibiotics, pesticides, and even antifungal agents. And the food? It can include corn, soy, and in some cases even chicken manure. This unnatural diet changes the very structure of the fish, creating one of the most imbalanced fat profiles in our food supply. Ideally, our bodies thrive on a close to equal balance of omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. But farm tilapia flips that balance upside down. Its omega-6 to omega-3 ratio can reach as high as 11:1. For seniors, that imbalance is like pouring fuel on the fire of inflammation. Arthritis gets worse. The risk of heart disease rises. And even memory problems like Alzheimer's can accelerate. The scary part is what researchers have discovered when comparing tilapia to foods we all thought were unhealthy. One study found that eating tilapia triggered more inflammation in the body than eating bacon or hamburgers. Imagine thinking you're making the smarter choice, when in reality, your tilapia dinner may be doing more harm than a fast food burger. I once met a retired nurse who proudly told me she had switched from red meat to tilapia to protect her heart. She ate it several times a week, believing she was making a wise, budget-friendly choice. But over time, her joint pain worsened, and her doctor found markers of chronic inflammation in her blood work. It wasn't until she swapped tilapia for wild sardines and cod that she began to feel real relief. That's the common mistake, assuming cheap tilapia is always healthier than red meat. The truth is, farm tilapia can be worse. So, the lesson here is clear: avoid farm tilapia altogether. Choose safer, affordable wild options like sardines or cod instead. Now that we've uncovered the 4 worst fish for seniors, the good news is coming. Not all fish are villains. In fact, some of them are powerful healing foods that can protect your memory, soothe your joints, and strengthen your heart. Let's move on to discover the 4 best fishes you should add to your plate after 60. When we think about aging, one of the biggest fears many people have is losing strength. Feeling unsteady when walking, or struggling with simple tasks like carrying groceries. That's why Pacific cod deserves a special place on the plate for seniors. This mild, white fish may not look flashy, but it's a quiet hero when it comes to protecting your muscles and independence. Just one serving of Pacific cod delivers about 40 grams of lean, high-quality protein, while containing very little fat and only around 180 calories. For older adults, this is the perfect formula. The protein feeds and repairs muscle, while the light texture makes it easy to digest, especially for those who sometimes find heavier meats or oily fish hard on the stomach. But cod's benefits don't stop there. It's packed with selenium, a mineral most seniors don't get enough of. Selenium acts like a microscopic shield for your cells, fighting oxidative stress, the rust that ages the body from the inside out. It also supports thyroid function, which keeps your metabolism steady and plays a role in keeping your brain sharp. That means each fillet of cod isn't just feeding your body, it's protecting it at the cellular level. I remember a 75-year-old woman who started adding Pacific cod to her weekly meals after her doctor suggested it. She had been struggling with weakness in her legs and worried about falling. After just a few months of eating cod twice a week, usually baked with olive oil and a squeeze of lemon, she noticed her muscles felt stronger and her steps were more confident. For her, cod wasn't just food, it was part of her recovery. The small lesson here is this: adding even 2 meals of Pacific cod each week can make a real difference in strength and stability. It's affordable, gentle on digestion, and rich in the exact nutrients seniors need most. And while cod is excellent for muscles and energy, the sea has even smaller fish that carry even bigger surprises: tiny powerhouses loaded with omega-3, vitamin D, and calcium for stronger bones and sharper minds. Let's talk about sardines next. Sometimes, the best things really do come in small packages. Sardines are tiny fish, often tucked into little cans, and for that reason they're easy to overlook. But don't let their size fool you. These little fish are nutritional powerhouses, especially for seniors over 60. Sardines are loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, healthy fats that cool down inflammation and protect the heart and joints. They're also one of the rare natural food sources of vitamin D, something many older adults lack because our skin becomes less efficient at making it from sunlight. And because you eat them whole bones and all, you're getting a rich source of calcium in its most natural, easily absorbed form. Every bite strengthens your bones, helping guard against fractures and falls. Another major advantage is safety. Because sardines feed on plankton and live short lives, they don't have time to accumulate mercury or heavy metals. That makes them one of the cleanest fish you can buy, perfect for regular meals without fear of hidden toxins. I once met a grandfather who laughed when I suggested sardines. Those little fish? I haven't touched them since I was a boy. But when he tried adding them to his diet just a couple of times a week, he noticed real changes. His cholesterol improved, his knees felt less stiff, and his doctor told him his vitamin D levels were finally back in the healthy range. The common mistake is avoiding sardines simply because of their strong smell or taste. But the truth is, they're incredibly versatile. You can mash them with avocado on whole grain toast, toss them into a fresh salad, or stir them into warm pasta with olive oil and herbs. With a can costing less than $2 and lasting months in your pantry, they're one of the most affordable superfoods around. So, the lesson here is simple. Don't judge sardines by their size or smell. They might be one of the smartest choices you can make for your brain, bones, and heart. And while sardines bring surprising power in a small package, the sea also offers a bigger fish that's considered one of the gold standards for senior health. If there's one fish that has earned a reputation as true medicine from the sea, it's wild Alaskan salmon. This isn't just because it tastes good. It's because it carries a unique combination of nutrients that protect both the brain and the heart. Salmon is one of the richest sources of DHA and EPA, the two types of omega-3 fatty acids your body needs most. These healthy fats act like insulation for your brain cells, keeping memory sharp and reducing the risk of decline. On top of that, wild salmon is naturally rich in astaxanthin, a powerful antioxidant that gives the fish its deep pink color. Astaxanthin doesn't just look pretty, it protects cells from oxidative stress, helping slow down aging at the cellular level. The evidence is striking. Research shows that communities in Alaska, where people eat salmon regularly, have Alzheimer's rates nearly 30% lower than the national average. In other words, what ends up on your dinner plate could make the difference between a clear mind in your 70s and foggy memory much earlier. I once met a man in his late 60s who struggled with forgetfulness and was worried about following in his father's footsteps with dementia. He began adding wild sockeye salmon to his meals twice a week, usually baked with herbs and a drizzle of olive oil. Over time, he noticed he could recall names more easily, focus better on conversations, and even his mood felt more stable. For him, salmon wasn't just dinner. It was a way to fight back against family history. But here's the key lesson. Not all salmon is equal. Wild Alaskan varieties like sockeye or coho are clean, safe, and nutrient-rich. Farmed salmon, on the other hand, is often contaminated with PCBs and raised on artificial feed that lowers its omega-3 quality. The difference is night and day. So, the takeaway is simple. Choose wild Alaskan salmon whenever possible and avoid farmed salmon. And while salmon often takes the spotlight, there's another fish that quietly deserves just as much attention. It's clean, safe, easy to digest, and loaded with nutrients that keep your heart, bones, and immune system strong. Rainbow trout may not get the same attention as salmon, but for seniors, it's one of the cleanest and most reliable choices you can make. Unlike many farmed fish raised in questionable conditions, trout raised in the United States are subject to strict standards. That means they're low in contaminants, free from hidden toxins, and safe to enjoy regularly. Nutritionally, rainbow trout is a powerhouse. It delivers a healthy dose of omega-3 to calm inflammation, along with vitamins B3 and B12 that support nerve health, energy, and memory. It's also rich in vitamin E, an antioxidant that protects your cells from damage, and potassium, a mineral that naturally helps regulate blood pressure, something nearly 70% of older adults struggle with. Together, these nutrients form a strong defense for the heart, brain, and immune system. I recall a widowed grandmother who wanted a lighter fish because she found salmon too rich for her digestion. Her daughter introduced her to rainbow trout, baked simply with lemon and herbs. To her surprise, she found it gentle on her stomach, easy to enjoy, and after a few months, her blood pressure numbers had improved. She even said, "It's like salmon's kinder, gentler cousin." The lesson here is simple. Rainbow trout is not only a safe and nutritious choice, but also a perfect alternative when you want variety beyond salmon. And now that we've explored the 4 best fishes for seniors, it's time to put all of this into practice. Let's look at how to plan meals wisely, balancing safety, nutrition, and flavor so that fish truly becomes a foundation for long-term health after 60. Knowing which fish to eat is only half the story. The real magic comes when you build them into your weekly meals in a way that's simple, balanced, and enjoyable. Think of it as giving your body a steady stream of nutrition that strengthens you little by little, week after week. A practical plan for most seniors looks like this: 2 meals of wild Alaskan salmon, 1 meal of Pacific cod, 1 meal of sardines, and 1 meal of rainbow trout. This variety gives you the best of all world: brain protection from salmon, muscle support from cod, bone-strengthening calcium from sardines, and heart-friendly nutrients from trout. Spreading across the week, it's both realistic and powerful. Of course, how you cook these fish matters just as much as which ones you choose. Steaming, baking, or gently grilling at medium heat preserves their delicate nutrients. A drizzle of olive oil, a squeeze of lemon, or a sprinkle of fresh herbs not only makes them taste wonderful but also helps your body absorb fat-soluble vitamins more effectively. What to avoid? Heavy frying or deep oil cooking, which strips away the very benefits you're trying to gain and adds unnecessary strain on the heart. I once spoke with a retired couple who loved seafood but always deep-fried their fish because that's the way we grew up eating it. When they switched to baking salmon with olive oil and adding sardines to their salads, not only did their meals become lighter, but their cholesterol numbers and blood pressure improved noticeably. They told me they didn't feel like they were dieting, they just felt better. The lesson here is simple. What's on your plate matters, but how you prepare it can make all the difference. Pair your fish with leafy greens, whole grains like brown rice or quinoa, and colorful vegetables. This combination boosts vitamin absorption, supports digestion, and creates meals that are as satisfying as they are healing. And once you have a plan in place, the next step is just as important to understanding the hidden risks and special considerations. Because while fish can be powerful medicine, certain conditions and medications mean you'll need to be a little more careful. Even with the healthiest choices, it's important to remember that fish isn't one size fits all. Seniors often have unique health situations, and what works for one person may not be right for another. Paying attention to these hidden risks can help you enjoy the benefits of fish without unwanted side effects. For example, if you're living with kidney or liver disease, your body may struggle to filter toxins. Even small amounts of mercury or contaminants can build up more quickly. So sticking to the cleanest fish like sardines, cod, or trout is especially important. On the other hand, if you're taking blood-thinning medications, suddenly eating large amounts of omega-3 rich fish like salmon could increase your risk of bleeding. That doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. It just means you should talk with your doctor before making big changes. I once met a gentleman in his 70s who proudly switched to eating salmon 3 or 4 times a week after watching a health video. But because he was already on a prescription blood thinner, his doctor noticed unusual bruising and had to adjust his medication. With some guidance, he cut back 2 salmon meals a week and added cod and trout instead. The result? He still got all the benefits of fish, but without the risks. The common mistake is assuming that healthy foods are automatically safe in unlimited amounts. The truth is, even the best choices can backfire if they don't match your body's needs. So, the lesson here is this. Always match your diet to your personal health situation. Read labels, ask where your fish comes from, and don't be afraid to check with your doctor when you add new foods regularly. A little caution now can save a lot of trouble later. And once you understand how to avoid the risks, the next step is making the most of the rewards. Because fish isn't just about nutrients. It's about how those nutrients translate into real strength, sharper memory, and longer independence. After everything we've discovered, one truth stands out. Fish can be either medicine or poison. It all depends on the choices you make. Eating the wrong fish like imported catfish, tuna, king mackerel, or farm tilapia can slowly fill your body with toxins, fuel inflammation, and even speed up memory loss. But choosing the right fish, salmon, sardines, cod, or trout turns your meals into powerful medicine that protects your heart, sharpens your brain, and keeps your muscles strong. I remember a couple in their early 70s who told me they used to eat tilapia several times a week because it was cheap and easy. They both struggled with stiff joints and fatigue, and they thought it was just part of aging. After learning about healthier options, they swapped tilapia for sardines and cod. Within a few months, they noticed their energy returning and their arthritis pain easing. What changed wasn't their age, it was simply what they were putting on their plates. The small lesson here is clear. Fish is not automatically healthy. It's the kind of fish and how often you eat it that makes the difference. One choice can quietly add to your problems, while another can literally protect your independence for years to come. And now that we've seen how powerful these choices can be, it's time to bring it all together. Let's close with a reminder of why this matters so much for your future and how small steps today can shape the life you enjoy tomorrow. At the end of the day, it all comes down to one simple truth. What you put on your plate today becomes your independence tomorrow. The meals you choose now decide whether you'll have the strength to carry your groceries, the clarity to enjoy conversations, and the energy to live life on your own terms well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. I once spoke with a woman in her late 60s who said she never thought twice about the kind of fish she bought until her doctor explained how mercury and hidden toxins were affecting her memory and joints. After she made just a few swaps replacing tilapia with cod and tuna with sardines, she told me she felt like she had gained 10 years of vitality back. Small changes, but a big difference in the way she lived her daily life. The small lesson here is simple. Your choices don't have to be perfect. They just have to be wise. Start with one swap. Trade out one harmful fish for one healing fish. Over time, those small decisions build into a stronger body, a clearer mind, and a longer, healthier future. If you found this video helpful, I'd love for you to support the channel by liking this video, sharing it with a friend who could benefit, and subscribing so you don't miss the next health tip. And now I'd love to hear from you. After today, which fish will you swap out from your diet? Drop your answer in the comments. I read and reply to as many as I can. Here's to making smarter choices, one meal at a time, and here's to living stronger, longer,